Hello, I am Bob, and this is the Home Bitcoin Immersion Mining channel. And in this episode, I'm going to depart from my normal content and instead give my take on how you can understand Bitcoin. But before getting on with the video, I want to mention some sponsors of the channel, the first being Brains. Now, in addition to their aftermarket firmware, their pool, and the rest of their Bitcoin mining ecosystem, Brains is also a great source of general mining information. In their Brains Insights websites, they have everything you need to learn about the current state of mining. You can check out the current network hash rate, difficulty, hash price, transaction fees, and use their charts to see how this data has varied over time. They also have useful calculators to help you understand miner profitability, along with a quick table listing the profitability of popular miner models. And if you're looking for more in-depth information about the Bitcoin mining industry, the Brains blog has a ton of really good articles you should read. If you want to stay on top of Bitcoin mining, the Brains Insights website is worth a visit. I've got a link below. And last up is the mining hardware supplier for the channel, Altair Bitcoin Mining Solutions. Altair is your one-stop shop for any mining hardware you might need. They have everything from the latest and greatest miners to every hashboard, cable, and part you might need to repair your existing hardware or build your own 120-volt home-built miner. Altair has years of experience working in the Bitcoin mining industry, running their own mining farm, and they've worked with all different scales of mining operations. Altair is based in the US and has top-rated customer support. And so if you have any question about anything at any time, they are there to help you out. Altair is a huge supporter of the home mining community, so if you're looking to buy your next miner or miner parts for your home setup, check out their website at the link below. You'll find pretty much everything you'll ever need. Okay, so if you're watching this video, I'm guessing you've heard something about Bitcoin. Maybe you've read about it in a news article. Maybe you saw it on a video or mentioned in your social media feeds. Or maybe you have a fanatic friend or relative who's tried to explain Bitcoin. In any case, I'm guessing like most people, your first exposure to Bitcoin has been a little confusing and maybe a little overwhelming. And so my goal in this video is to show you how to understand Bitcoin. Now, the method I'm presenting here is not some new or secret way to become a Bitcoin expert. I'm going to show you the same way every single one of us has used to understand Bitcoin since its beginning over 10 years ago. But maybe this video puts this in a little different context that will make more sense to you. Now, the way I like to approach how to understand Bitcoin is to look at other, more traditional assets we all are more familiar with and likely more comfortable with. Things like real estate, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, precious metals, fine art, collectible cars, cash. Each of these are used to store and or grow our wealth, but I'm going to focus on just one of these, and that is real estate. And the reason why is for many Americans, real estate makes up the largest contribution of their net worth, and so I thought this would be a good place to start. Now, when you think about owning a home, there's a lot to understand. First, there's the housing market itself. You have to understand where and when to buy or sell, different types of sizes of homes, HOAs, housing developments, and when you find a home you like, there's even more to understand with the home buying process itself. You have offer negotiations, points, interest rates, escrow, title searches, inspections, insurance, closing. And then after you buy the house, there's even more to understand about owning a home. You have all sorts of maintenance, remodeling, insurance updates, refinancing. When you take a step back and really think about it, buying and owning a home is super complicated, and there is a ton you have to learn and understand along the way. Yet we buy and sell homes all the time. And although most of us don't understand every detail, most of us have a pretty good enough understanding of how all of this works. So how did this happen? How did each of us get to a point where we have a general understanding of this huge, horribly complicated asset? And more importantly, how did you gain your understanding of buying and owning a home? Well, if you're like most people, this happened over time. Maybe when you were a child, you overheard your parents talking about making the mortgage payments. You might have asked simple questions and gotten simple answers. You likely didn't understand the big picture, but you started to accumulate knowledge. Maybe a little older, you watched the evening news and heard something about interest rates and their effects on the housing market. Again, you still didn't understand much, but this was another exposure to the subject, and again, you accumulated a little more knowledge and information. You may not have realized this, but this learning process has continued through your entire life. A short article here, a YouTube video there, a comment from a friend or family member, maybe you read a book, or maybe you spent just a little too much time at Home Depot. Although most of us have never taken any type of formal home real estate training or education, we've accumulated maybe 30 or 40 collective hours of knowledge and information. Little by little, bit by bit, we gained enough knowledge to feel comfortable enough to buy and maintain a home. We likely did this over 20 to 30 years, and most of us are still picking up new bits of information and adding to our home real estate knowledge base. This learning method of picking up little bits of information over decades is also how many of us have gained the information and knowledge to understand other assets. Think about what you know about stocks, bonds, gold, your 401k. Think about the assets you're comfortable with. Think about the assets you sort of understand. For each of these, it can take 30 to 40 hours of exposure and information to get to your current level of understanding and comfort. Now, did you get that 30 to 40 hours through formal education, or have you, like most of us, picked all of that knowledge up little by little over decades along the way? With that in mind, let's talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a new asset. It's only been around for a decade or so, and most of that time it's existed in obscurity. It has some similarities and analogs to some more traditional assets, but in reality it's something completely new and different from all of the other traditional assets, and it's as complicated as any single one of them. And so just like it takes 30 to 40 hours of accumulated knowledge and information to understand a traditional asset, it takes 30 to 40 hours of accumulated knowledge and information to gain an understanding of Bitcoin. So getting back to the main point of this video, how to understand Bitcoin, there are a couple different ways. The first is to follow the normal passive learning you followed with other assets. You'll learn little by little, bit by bit, one article, YouTube video, or conversation at a time. You eventually will understand Bitcoin by accumulating that standard 30 to 40 hours of knowledge and information over time, but it'll take many years or maybe decades to get there. Now, for those young folks in Gen Z or Gen Alpha, this timeline is fine. They can slowly accumulate knowledge about Bitcoin over time, and they'll be ready to make financial decisions when they are old enough to make them. However, for the rest of us, a passive approach won't work. Bitcoin is here now. The financial landscape of our world is changing more rapidly with each passing year, and I, along with many others, think Bitcoin is going to have a significant role in our near and long-term financial futures. And this brings up the second way to understand Bitcoin. There is a saying within the Bitcoin community, everyone gets Bitcoin at the price they deserve. It's not the nicest saying, but it makes a really important point. If we of Gen X or Gen Y want to financially benefit from Bitcoin as an asset class, we cannot wait to passively absorb Bitcoin knowledge. Instead, we have to actively gain knowledge and information. We have to put in the work to accumulate that necessary 30 to 40 hours to understand this asset. Now, every single person who is currently comfortable with Bitcoin and feels like they have a solid understanding of this asset has gone through this. We all have put in tens, if not hundreds of hours of reading, listening, and learning to expand our knowledge. There is no way around this. The way to understand Bitcoin is to put in the work and educate yourself. Now, lucky for you, Bitcoin has matured enough to where there is a ton of easily accessible Bitcoin information out there. There are books, podcasts, social media personalities, YouTube channels, local meetups. No matter what type of media or learning you prefer, there is something out there for you. All you have to do is to put in a little effort on your part to get started. And if you want to expand your knowledge of how Bitcoin mining works or how Bitcoin mining can be used to heat your home, click here.